Hi, this is Graham Jeacocke here. Now, I've just cornered Paul Barton, musician, lover of elephants. Now, he said a few things on sight reading. Now, I want to say what I have to say here. Now, as I'm going through the albums of the pop and rock world, non-classical stuff, I've come to learn more about what's his name? James Brown. I'd heard them before from Rocky and other songs, but I hadn't listened to any of his other songs. And that's what I did. I think it was 72 tracks in this album. Now, he screams, okay, that's his thing. You can recognise James Brown. And he does it a fair bit. He milks it, I think. Anyway, it's interesting what the people thought of James Brown. What did they say? They said he was the hardest working musician. Now, here is a little bit of a little bit of controversy. I am the hardest worker in classical music thus far, for I have uploaded over 8,000 pieces of sight read music. You see, sight reading is the equivalent of James Brown and his little bouts of screaming that everybody loves. You know, after listening to Michael Jackson, you think, well, he does a few screams, but after listening to James Brown, Michael Jackson is rather tame. So it's very strange that Paul Barton talks about sight reading, because there's another thing I'd like to pick up on, or for you to pick up on. He mentions that he sight reads or plays the living composer. A living composer is just one. I want to say that in the Bible, in the New Testament, the apostles made it clear, do not show favoritism to people. In the church, right, he was given an example. If a person comes in poor, right, you don't show him to the floor because of the way he's dressed. You treat him as if he was a rich man with nice fancy clothes, because you're discriminating against God's chosen people. That's what the Christians were doing, and that's what God's apostles were instructing these new Christians in a certain way how to live. But here we have Paul Barton favoriting a living composer because he probably knows him. But this is the thing, if he is a sight reader, he can sight read and play every living composer by making every composer that is living have value. You see, Paul Barton doesn't instill any value in living composers, because he only is willing to play from someone who shares a common bond of interest between them. You see, like if you marry somebody, they have to be a certain way. I'm guessing Paul Barton playing that living composer is in some way got a connection. Just like David and Jonathan in the Bible. But anyway, why is Paul Barton not sight reading music? Because he says, if you've sight read one piece, you've sight read them all. Well, if you have screamed once before, then you've screamed, and there is no need for you to scream again. But James Brown clearly demonstrates that doing something time and time again takes a lot of effort. Now, Paul Barton doesn't seem to think there's any effort in sight reading. Well, isn't it strange if we were to apply Paul Barton's theory of music into elephant? He cares for elephants, right? If he cared for one elephant, okay, does that mean he doesn't care for any other elephants? Or does he repeat the process because it needs doing? Now, these people are the ones who are getting all the attention from the musical public. And that is why music is in the pits.